All right. Hey, happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to Draglist Live, where we get to bench race with the world's top drag racers. My name's Bill Pratt. It's awesome to be with you tonight. And tonight, funny car veteran John Hale returns to catch us up on his recent escapades, chasing glory on several circuits. And we're going to talk all about airplanes as well and get a little bit of a shop tour. Super excited about that. Before we bring John in, let's go to JB. JB, how are you doing, sir?
Doing great here, BP, and howdy from Houston, everybody. Please join us on the live chat. The chat board is on the right side of your YouTube window. Tell us who you are and where you're from. I'll take notes and I'll pass your questions and comments along to BP and John.
All right. Thank you, John. And folks, click the like and click the share button. Let your friends know we have John Hale live. Also, subscribe while you're out there. And I have to apologize in advance. A little bit of walk-in pneumonia I picked up out at Nitro Revival. So I got my cough drops ready. I got my can of soda ready. And actually, sparkling water. We're going to do this thing. So without further ado, let's bring him in. John Hale, welcome back to the show.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me, Bill and John.
So great to have you on, sir. We were chatting a little bit before the show. It's going to be so much fun. I took a look at our records. The last time we had you on was October 25th, 2021. So just about 3 years almost to the day. What's today?
Pre-COVID.
Yeah, right. And I feel like I have it again, but I don't. Tested twice.
That's good.
But so tell me what's going on. So you're driving a bunch of funny cars. You're flying a bunch of planes in a loop-de-loops and stuff. Tell us how the year's going.
Man, for a 58-year-old guy, to have three bitchin' rides this year, three different fuel rides, and come out here to the airport and have two great airplanes to fly. And what more could a guy want, I'd come to work every day or come to my hangar every day with my dogs. We got a bunch of good friends here at the airport, and I'm truly blessed to be able to do that.
So much fun. Well, let's start at the drag strip. I know you're driving the Red Baron car this year on the Funny Car Chaos circuit. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so the Red Baron, we raced at the Funny Car Chaos in April at the Texas Motorplex, the race that kicked off the season for him. And the old car ran pretty good. We wound up qualifying number one out of 50 cars in the Funny Car Chaos section of the event. I think a 346 or something like that, 220 miles an hour in the eighth mile. Right. We won first round. Discovered that the blower wasn't happy, that some of the nylon in it had melted and scored itself against the back plate and the blower, so we couldn't continue on. But first round there, I think we improved and ran like a 344 or something, at like 230 miles an hour. So that little car is it's fun to drive. It's an old Mopar Charger body on it, a Gen 1. It's hard to see out of, but everything was just right. And the thing hauled ass. It's fun to drive when everything's right like that. It's a good car.
I guess we're looking at right here, right behind me.
Yeah.
From John's poster.
Yeah. So that was fun. It was kind of disappointing we couldn't go on, but we didn't have a spare blower, and so we had to go up and tell Chris, hey, you're going to have to run, without us. So we gave him enough time where he could get an alternate or get ready for a bye run for that, for our opponent.
Did he pull somebody up from the B field, or do you remember?
I don't remember.
Fascinating circuit. With you. I love the way he does it. Your quick eight is all out, and then everybody else runs on an index relative to the low ET.
It's a great format. It really, really is. It works.
The 50 cars, man. That's like funny chaos indeed.
Yeah, we had them by a 10th or so too, So that car's changed owners. One guy bought the other guy out. It's no longer going to be the Red Baron. It's going to be Say It Loud. which TJ Say owns the car. So hence the Say It Loud name. So we're going to continue on with that next season, and I look forward to driving that.
That's fantastic. Well, you also took a trip across the pond to Santa Pod. Tell us about that event, because you had more success there.
Yeah. So my good friend Rob Elsom over there, back in April, he came over here and bought a big show operation from Wally Fuller. So we put it in a container out here just about an hour southeast of here. Put it in a container. It went to Houston. It took 4 weeks to get over to England. And he's just been piddling with it, you know, in the meantime, getting it ready for the race. He works in Denmark, so he doesn't have, you know, the luxury of going out in the garage after dinner and tinkering with it. So when we got to Santa Pod, there was some finish up work to do, and we knew there would be, but we had some good help over there. And I brought my good friend Kent Carley, that's been with me since 2011. So he came over there with me, and we worked solid on it for 2 or 3 days before the race. But so the format there's only 4 of these big show cars over there in England at this event. So the 2 winners from the first 2 pair go on to race in the final. So we'd just scheduled to make a half track run on the first round. And they said, you know, hey, if you don't see the guy, you can do whatever you want. But if he goes by you, just go to half track. So about half track, he goes by me. I shut off. We're towing back to the pit, and somebody says, you're in the final. And we just
crossed the center line or what?
Yeah, he crossed the center line after the 1,000-foot mark, but before the 1320. And over there, that's disqualification.
Oh, okay. Huh.
So we're like, oh, you know, okay. So we have to go back and weigh to make that run official. Then we go back to the pit, and we're starting to thrash, and it starts raining. And it rains for about 2 hours. So we needed that extra time. They have a 9 o'clock curfew there. It's dark. They really don't run at night. So we go up there to the final. The guy wipes off the inside of the windshield. They fire the car, put the body down. I can't see anything. I mean, it's just fogged up, you know. And I look down track, and it's dark. I'm like, what am I going to do? Well, you only have one thing to do, you know. So I step on the pedal. I don't see the guy anywhere. I don't hear him. And the next thing I know, about 200 or 300 feet out, the thing just makes a hard right move on me. And I cranked it all the way to the left, got up on 3 wheels. I crossed the center line. So he just stepped on the pedal and shut off. I don't think he could see either. From the dew on the windshield. So a hell of a way to lose, but we runnered up. He got the win, you know, by default of me crossing the center line. But it was a great first outing with the car. It really was. It was fun.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love the Europeans. I chat with them here and chat with them online and been corresponding for years. I've never been to Santa Pod, but I need to get over there.
They're huge drag racing fans over there. You know, everybody's very polite, thanking me for coming over. You know, just warm reception, you know. So some other interesting things about the racing over there. The tech guys are called scrutineers. And they're very polite, as everybody is over there. So I'm used to the NHRA guys barging into the pits and saying, hey, I need to look at your safety gear. So this guy over there, the scrutineer, comes in and he says, hello, mate, would now be a good time to look at your safety gear? So I'm like, wow, I've never heard that before. So we go through all my stuff, and I say, hey, you want to take a look at the car? He's like, oh, no, mate, that's somebody else's job. So, yeah, the scrutineers are very polite there.
That's fantastic. And I guess, I guess we saw some of that this last. I don't know if you had a chance to. I don't know. Were you at Pomona, or did you just sort of hear about it? Because the Buddy
No,
Hull incident kind of brings the tech guys back up to mind.
no, I wasn't there. I've read about it, and I haven't discussed it with Buddy yet. I think we'll have a conversation about that tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were splitting hairs there.
Yeah,
That whatever the difference was, wasn't much.
that's what it seems like to me. But of course, I wasn't there, so well, listen to Bud. He really. I don't know if you caught the interview online. He really laid it out pretty solidly.
I saw the link, but I didn't open it, so
Mm-hmm.
I kind of figured I would get it firsthand from him tomorrow when he gets back and we talk.
Sounds good. Well, let me ask you one more. So we'll go to one more funny car you raced this year out in Vegas. Tell us about that event.
Yeah, so the Winefsky family and we go back a little ways with Dylan. Uh, uh, so they're at the Dunn shop and they're looking at bodies for a chassis they had, and they said, "Hey, John, have you driven this car? What do you know about this body or this body?" And it came down to, well, this body is, this price, and this one over here is a little bit more. And I said, well, I tell you what, man, I'll throw in some money. Just get that newer body over there. So
Mhm.
this is like 6 months ago or so, and I didn't really want anything in return, just maybe put my barbecue sauce sticker on it. So they come up and they said, "Hey, would you like to be our test pilot?" Well,
Oh, cool.
come on. You're going to drive a fuel car? Yeah. So I said, let me check my schedule for the Las Vegas race. Sure enough, I'm in town. So I said, sure. So the whole plan was to get the car, shook down and get it down the racetrack so that Dylan could get in it on Monday and get some license runs knocked off.
Right.
So we go up there in Q1 and I do my burnout. The thing's idling real high, revved high in the burnout. And then after I close the throttle, I'm coming to a stop. The thing's idling way high. So I just shut it off. Thing
Mhm.
wasn't right. It's Q1. You can look at it and come back. So
Right.
did that. And then Q2, the thing idled like that after the burnout. I waited for my guy to come out there and shut the throttle. I think we went to 330 on that. It dropped a hole. I think it nipped a piston. We put it back together. Q3, we were going to take it to half track. So I did. And right when I stepped off, the crankshaft broke.
Yeah.
So, and it wiped the motor out, and felt really bad for everybody. Dylan and his parents are real nice people. And
Right.
so the story on that is we get back to the pits and Dylan's, we got the motor out of the car and Dylan's taking all the good stuff off the block. And this guy walks up and he's amazed by all the carnage. And he says, well, I want to buy that block. I want to buy that oil pan. I want a rod and piston.
Mm-hmm.
So the guy winds up giving him about almost 3 times as much as you would have gotten for scrap.
Wow.
Just for these souvenirs, and winds up he owns a diesel performance shop, so he was going to make a coffee table out of the block and just have some stuff to keep around the shop to show people that carnage that can happen in a fuel motor.
Right.
So we didn't have to look at the stuff. He took all the stuff away. We didn't have to clean it, waste any brake clean on it or any towels. I mean, it just vanished and the guy left money. So you can't ask for better than that,
No, that's pretty
after
great.
yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome. We've had him on the show before talking about his future. So, Yeah, looking at Dylan, that is.
He's gonna be great. He's gonna do just fine. I spent a lot of time with him. I mean, we went through, getting up in the morning and getting hydrated and what you're gonna eat. Driving to the racetrack, someone pulls out in front of you. You're just gonna say, "Hey, come on!" You're not
Yeah.
gonna get all flared up and waste your energy on that. You're gonna save it for the racetrack.
Right.
So we went through everything. Or if I forgot something, I don't know what it would be, but we went from the hotel to the finish line with
That's
him.
great. Well,
He's going to be great. He's got a great family. His dad's a great guy. He's got his mom's support. Takes care of all the crew, feeds them very well. It's going to be fun to watch him this next year.
that's terrific. That's it. And you can't, thanks for doing it. You got to pass it on. It's
Yeah.
you can't.
Yeah. And, he thanked me, and it was really my pleasure to do it for him.
So cool. Well, John, let's take a look and see if JB has anybody on the chat line that has weighed in with any questions or comments. John Bachman, what do you think? I got two Johns, both from Texas
we're
here.
pretty much coast to coast tonight. We have Kay Thurkelson is with us from Salt Lake City.
Miss
And
Kay.
she says, "Good evening, everybody." And Jack Red is with us tonight. He says, "Hello, everyone." Yeah. And Megan Gianni says, "Hi, Uncle John. This is your niece, Megan."
That's one
and she added,
fans, Megan.
She said, I got to see my Uncle John Hale in Vegas, and he did awesome.
Yeah. So she draws me pictures and brings them to
Rich
me.
Panacaro.
Okay. Well, hang on, John. So John Hale, tell us a little bit about Megan.
So Megan draws pictures for me and sends
Is my voice breaking
me
up over here?
a little bit? Yes.
John, yeah, just wanted to, as folks come over the comment, I'll give John Hale a little chance to respond to what folks said. But you're sounding good, John. So,
okay, good.
So we're talking about Megan, and then we'll go to Panacaro, and then whoever's next. But John Hale, if you can, you were saying,
yeah, Rich and Mark Malinsky are both in New Jersey, and they say good evening to everybody. And Dylan Waski Racing says hi, guys.
Hey. Hello.
There he is.
And let's see, I think we are caught up for the moment. Everybody's exchanging greetings and pleasantries to each other. So we're good to go.
Awesome. Thank you, John. Welcome, everybody. And so not John Hale. We can talk about Megan, and then you can see Mr. Winefsky is checked in, or at least the racing team there. That's probably Dylan himself.
Absolutely. So as I was saying, Megan draws these pictures for me, and I'm honored to have these. And I think the last ones were pictures of some airplanes that she drew for me. So I have some of them upstairs in my shipping department, and
wow,
it's cool. She's very special to me.
Awesome. Well, welcome, Megan. Thanks for joining us. And maybe that'll be one of our top fuel and funny car paint designers down the road.
Yeah.
John, I wanted to take you back. I think the last time we were talking about your big show cars, talking about Big Jim Dunn. I think you raced with him for a while, and other folks, but the Worshams at one point. But I found a old entry on the Draglist I want to chat with you about, and I feel like, well, this was in the year 2000. I found an entry saying that you had a Chevy powered dragster by Don Pointer that you ran on fuel with an automatic and going 4.0s in the 8th mile. Do you recall that? Was that? What was that all about?
I want to say it was a 2-speed Lenco, though.
Okay.
I never had an automatic in it. Yeah, but I do, and I have a picture of it on the wall here in my machine shop. Yeah, so that was a iron big block Chevy with iron heads with 871 on it, buzzard catcher, think it's probably a 4 or 5 amp mag, 1100 Enderley fuel pump on about 75% nitro,
I love it.
72, 75.
We're,
And
we're,
we raced at Kennedale. One time we took it to Ennis, the Texas Motorplex, and I didn't have a license, so they said, "Well, you can take it to half track or whatever, you know." So we did. And that thing was really more about learning about nitro,
right.
and putting a race car together.
Wow, that's amazing. Did you build it yourself?
Don Pointer built the chassis.
Oh, I just said that. Of course.
He built the chassis, and we did everything else. We didn't have any money, so we built, a lot of the parts ourselves, and put it together. And we didn't even have a trailer, so we had to beg for somebody to take us to the racetrack. But yeah, that was a great experience. I wound up selling it to a guy in Australia, and he paid me everything he said he would pay me. Did everything that he said he would do, and we put it in a friend of mine's trailer. He took it to California. We shipped it to Australia.
Outstanding. Oh my gosh. I saw I don't know if you know the Bray. I saw Kelly Bray and Dean McLennan, who are Victor Bray's daughter and son-in-law. And of course, he's a funny car racer down in Australia. They were at Irwindale last weekend. It was just amazing to see them. They walked up and said, "Hi, are you Bill?" I'm like, "Hey, it's been years since I've seen them."
Yeah, there's a whole group of those guys that come to Bakersfield every year.
Australia.
I mean, they're hardcore racers there too.
Hardcore. Do you, John, while I'm on this Chevy, do you recall the 409? I have a 409 in the 8th mile. Do you think that might have been the Ennis time?
Yeah. Yeah, either there or Kennedale.
Got it. That's so cool. Well, I'll bring you back to the modern era, though. I love it. That's the crazy little one-off stuff we love to find at the Draglist and list it when nobody else has it.
I'm glad you did. That was a good time. It really was. I thought that thing might as well been a big show top fueler, to me back then.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll look at the 409. You just want a 346 on fuel and that funny car. I mean, that's in the 8th.
Yeah.
You're getting it.
You put it
and that was a home built.
Yeah.
Well, John Hale, you a badass funny car racer, as we all know, an international funny car racer. But you also do acrobatics with planes, and we're right there in your hangar. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about what you do and how you race? Or it's not racing, as you made clear before the show, but how you do the acrobatics and aerobatics, I guess. Is that what it's called?
Aerobatics, yeah. So what we do is at the beginning of the year, the IAC, their National Aerobatic Club, gives out the routines for the different classes, and the routines are made up of figures. A loop is a figure, a hammerhead is a figure. So they put together this routine for us. We practice it, and then when we go to the competitions, we fly that routine while 5 judges watch us. So they nick us for not being vertical on our upline or being positive or negative, which is nose up or nose down on a down line. So you start off with, say, like 10 points, and they take off a half a point for each one of your mistakes. So sometimes it's not about flying perfectly. It's about flying to impress the judges. So
it's sort of like figure skating in a way where you have the technical score and then you have an artistic score. Is it similar?
Perfect comparison. No, not really. It's not like figure skating, but yeah, you have judges, and so you get one judge that maybe doesn't like an extra. Let's just put it this way. You know what I'm saying? And so the extra really shows mistakes. So you may not have impressed this guy as much as you thought you should have, you know. So it's a lot different than drag racing. You just have a clock, you know, a scoreboard at the end of the racetrack for your score.
Right.
Well, with this, we got 5 judges, you know, and all those score sheets go into a computer and they get curved, you know, so that if maybe that one guy was picking on you a little bit, it all gets, you know, averaged.
Right.
But it gets technical. I could go into more, but you're basically wanting to impress the judges, you know.
Awesome. John, where do they all sit in the same area, or do they sit at different points on the ground so that they can see different angles?
All the judges sit together. So you have a judge and then you have a recorder. So he's calling out your mistakes and giving you a score on that figure to a person that's writing it down. Now you have to do this in 1,000-meter square cube. So you have to do all these figures inside of that cube.
Wow.
So you have boundary judges. So you have markers that sit out there with walkie-talkies, and if you go outside that boundary, then you get a deduction in the points too. So the judges are all together, but then you have a boundary judge on opposite ends of the 1,000-meter cube.
You're basically, it's like a double a drag strip, but you're up in the air, and that's all. That's not a lot of room to work with.
You know, and then you have a minimum altitude, and for my class, that's 1,500 feet. So if you go below that on one of your maneuvers, you get nicked for points too. So
right,
it gets technical.
That's amazing. Well, you've got some of your planes right there with you, and some of the tools you use to kind of judge what you're doing up there. Can you feel like walking us through some of that?
Sure.
What you got?
Sure. So let me let's see here.
And we talked about this earlier. So John's going to walk us through an advanced selfie. Oh, there we go.
All right. So this is extra 330. It's an unlimited aerobatic airplane. These come from Germany.
Cool.
So these come from Germany too. So these are our dogs. So this is carbon fiber wings. You know, big ailerons for a high roll rate. It's got a 580 cubic inch 6-cylinder Lycoming motor. Big 3-bladed prop on it.
Wow.
Right. About how much horsepower do you estimate?
315 on this one.
Nice.
Oh, those are beautiful, man.
Thank you. So, you know, we kind of like the Texas theme and the stars and stripes on our stuff.
Right.
So this really is a funny car of the sky right here. It's a lot more plane than I am a pilot, but that's what makes it fun.
Yes, anybody could say that about funny cars too, couldn't they?
Sure. So then we have this is a American Champion Scout right here. This is a friend of mine's. This is kind of a bush plane. This has got a really high-tech flat panel dash in it. You can see that. So yeah, it's a multi-function display, all your engine parameters, navigation, stuff like that will be displayed in that panel there.
It makes sense that planes would go to that technology as well, but I never saw it before you just brought that up. That's cool.
So then this right here is my Husky. So this is an Alaskan bush plane. It's got the big all-terrain Tundra tires on it.
Is that your Jeep of the sky, as that looks like?
Yeah, so we take this on and off the grass strip. We don't really ever use the asphalt runway. So in contrast to the Scout back there with the flat panel display, this has got the old school steam gauges in it.
Right.
Oh, and I have a small Garmin there for nav, but this is kind of an older school 6-pack of gauges there. This one here has a 180 horse, 360 cubic inch motor. So the fun thing about this plane is we fly it with the door open, just like you see it sitting there.
Wow.
So you got the wind noise blowing in, and it's fun to look out over the side and, you know, look at stuff on the ground. It's really a sturdy plane too.
Awesome. Is it so have a pretty, you know, the suspension, is it got the beefed up suspension to handle the rough, like non asphalt runway?
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, it does. It's got kind of a bungee type suspension where you have bungee cords up in the middle of the fuselage. But back here, we added this tail wheel system here, and it's got mountain bike shocks on it. So when you land on this thing, you can't really even feel the tail wheel come down.
Cool. Because you don't know what it's gonna encounter. What is the device behind it? Did you actually pull it around using that?
Yeah, so with those big tires on it, it's kind of hard for a single guy to push around. So this is an electric tug. So it hooks onto the tail wheel there, and we can shove it out and steer it around with that, and it just makes life a whole lot easier.
That's awesome. John, what do these planes weigh? I mean, are they comparable to a car or somewhat lighter?
Oh yeah, so you know, a big show funny car is like 2,600 pounds. These are like 1,300 pounds.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
So this is that's the Nitro Boss up there on the wall.
There you go. And that was a fast nostalgia funny car.
Yeah, so you know, I really didn't want to let this one go, so we hung it on the wall up here above our kitchen.
Wow.
Very cool.
And and then you gotta have the Nitro ground shaker pinball machine.
Yep.
So
beautiful.
Mikey Cavalieri, you know, fixed me up with this. Great machine.
I've seen a picture of one. I've never seen one lit up until right that moment.
So we have some fuel in here, so we don't have to taxi across the runway to get fuel and have to hot start a plane, which is a hard thing to do in the summer.
Right.
So here's another plane. This is a MX2. This one's all carbon fiber. There's no tubing in the fuselage. Wow. This one's got a 580 net, 350 horsepower. This is a friend of mine's.
Wow. When you say there's no tubing, is this sort of tied together with wires? How is it?
It's all monocoque here. So if you look inside the cockpit here, there's no tubing. And in contrast to that, in the extra over here, you have it's like a dragster chassis with tubing inside of there.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Man, unbelievable. Hot rods of the sky for sure.
Yes, they are.
So 69 Mustang project car here. I'm putting a new wiring harness in it. Oh, we always have a hot rod going on here in the bay.
Very cool. Looking
So
good.
then,
Everything's clean and mean.
thank you. So, machine shop here.
Mm-hmm. Do you have you sold then the Burkhart Camaro body? Because I think you used to alternate that with the Mustang, right?
Yeah, we sold it right at the time we went with the One Bad Texan. So this is the big block Chevy dragster right here that you mentioned back in 2000. That is at the under the tower at the Motorplex there.
Wow, I love it.
So this would be my first ride right here. That had a
Wow.
440 Chrysler in it and a torque flight, like a probably an 890 quarter mile car.
Right. Mm,
Yeah, so there's the Nitro Boss in action.
right. The thing was badass.
It's a heavy car, but yeah, it was definitely a fan favorite. So I'll show you these two machines here. I didn't own these machines when I was 19, but I used them when I was 19, and then I had the opportunity to buy them. So these are kind of sentimental lathe and mill right here.
Right. That's awesome.
And
And you got your start, so you can fabricate it and then race it. So
yeah, so then we got there's some barbecue sauce up there on the rack, quite a few jars anyway.
well, we got to find out about that before we let you go tonight. Can folks send you a couple duckies and get some of that?
Sure. Sure. You can go to my website, Best of Texas Barbecue Sauce, and place an order and we'll ship it out.
Sounds good. Best of Texas. Let's get it done. Thank you, John. That was awesome.
Oh,
Yes,
my
man.
pleasure.
Let's jump to John Bachman and see if anybody else has any questions or comments on the chat. John?
Yeah, so we have a few comments and questions. Rich Panacaro asked, "Where is John out of?" And I told him I thought you were in Dallas, actually north of Dallas. I don't know if I told him right or not.
No, that's close enough. Yeah, my home is in Addison, Texas, which is just a couple miles north of Dallas. Right now, we're sitting about 25 minutes north of Dallas in McKinney.
Right. Yeah, and Jack Red said, "I lost count. How many planes did John have?"
We have 4 in here right now.
4 right now.
Yeah.
And Kay Thurkelson asked, she said, "I'm curious as to who or what inspired John to fly airplanes."
Great
I would
question.
have to say my dad. My dad was a fighter pilot in World War II. He flew P-47s. So, and he didn't really talk a lot about it, but yeah, that inspired it. My brother also was into aviation. So it's something I always wanted to do. And while I was racing full time, I never really had enough time or focus to get my pilot's license. So once I kind of stepped back from racing in 2018, I went down to Florida and I told Karen, I said, I'm not coming back till I have my pilot's license. So I stayed down there and got it done. And then I think I'd already built this hangar at the time and had planes here, but I didn't have a pilot's license. So yeah, I got it done. I'm glad I did.
That's exciting.
Well, you did great, man. Those are beautiful airplanes, and I know you're an excellent pilot.
Thank
If
you.
you fly an airplane anything like you do a funny car, you know.
Yeah, it carries over. Yeah, you have a style, that how you treat stuff, and we abuse and torture those cars, and we treat these airplanes the same way sometimes.
Right, right. Well, I have a question for you, John, about Rob Elsom. Are you going to go back and drive for him next year?
Yes, I am. So with that one event under his belt, he's kind of added up all the receipts for that weekend, and now he knows what it's going to cost. Uh, the series over there, I believe, is 4 races. And he's figuring he's going to need somewhere about 50 grand to do those 4 races. And that's it. You don't blow anything up major.
Right.
So, he's putting together a proposal. Right now is the time to do it, and hunting for a little money or some help, and I told him I'd help him with the proposal. And I've talked to a couple people about some parts over here. And so he's committed to 2 races for sure. If he finds money, we'll add some to the schedule. But yeah, awesome. I will be back at Santa Pod.
Great. I featured him a couple of weeks ago as the racer of the week, and he was just so kind and friendly. He was a great guy. And he gave me his entire racing history, and he's happy to have you in the pilot seat. He didn't want to drive anymore, which he feels better on the outside of the car than on the inside.
And those cars aren't for everybody. I'm fortunate enough to have a lot of laps in them. A nostalgia car is one thing, and then these are a totally different thing. So I think he really is happy in the managing and tuning side of the thing, and being hands-on with the car and letting somebody else drive it. And I'm glad he picked me.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Is he a second generation racer? There was I don't know if I have the last name right, but there was a racer called Phil Elson over there that had a car called the Sneaky Glowworm, an old Mercury Capri bodied fuel funny car. God help us.
Sounds like something you would see at Sampa, but no, his father was not a drag racer.
Gotcha.
No one else in his family that I know of was a drag racer either.
Pretty amazing. So, well, you were chatting. Speaking of London, though, you were saying when you went over there recently, and before we got on the show tonight, you said you got a chance to see some Spitfires flying around over there.
And you talk about, it's like a little kid hearing a fuel car go down the racetrack, and you're just dying to get in there where you can see them. I was that little kid at Duxford, which was a Allied Air Force base in World War II. And now it's a museum, and they have a bunch of Spitfires there. And we pull up, and there's Spitfires over the runway doing aerobatics and everything. So I run over to this little hut that says Spitfire Rides, and I'm begging them, for a ride. And they're like, "Oh no, mate, you need to reserve these for like a month in advance." And I'm like, "Come on, man!" And so it didn't happen, but man, it was great seeing and hearing those planes. The Spitfire just has a unique sound to it, And I thought, well, maybe this year when I went over there for the Euro finals, I thought about reserving a ride, but we didn't have time. We had to work on the race car.
Right, you had to build one.
Yeah, pretty much. We had
It's so cool. Have you seen some of the P-51 Mustangs at some of those races that they have? Those things I hear they're pretty hot.
Absolutely.
I've been in the past.
Been to Reno several times and seen the Unlimiteds right there. I've also been in the back seat of a regular P-51, not a race P-51, and that was a dream come true right there, and a dream plane. It's definitely a funny car of the sky right there for sure.
Yeah. Well, I got to fly in a cod. Did you ever see one of those things? They land on the carriers. You sit backwards in the back. The passengers sit backwards, and a little tailgate comes down and drops you out of it. But I got to land on the USS Nimitz in 1978. The first time I flew out there.
Wow!
Believe me, when your stomach stays exactly where that arresting hook grabs you, and that wire. And then the rest of you keeps going, but your stomach stays right there.
And when you were sitting, pointing toward the tail.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
Sitting backwards.
that tried to yank your lunch out of you.
Yeah, I hear some guys actually had that happen. I was lucky. You don't want to be the guy that happens to, but pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, that must have been.
Well, John, who are some of the folks who sponsors or friends or other folks who kind of help you out at the at the car races and at the airport there? Everybody you want to share some shout outs to?
You know, back in the nostalgia days, we had a bunch of great sponsors. You know, we had CP Pistons, Redline Oil, Mickey Thompson Tires, Molly, you know, bearings and rings, all the names you still see around that, you know, you couldn't do it without them. Uh, you know, this airplane deal is kind of a different deal. One of the things I like about it is it doesn't take a big crew to operate them. I can shove a bag full of toothbrush and a change of clothes behind the seat, and I can go to a contest and operate the thing all by myself, you know, and just have one hotel room and one mouth to feed. Sponsors, I don't really have any sponsors. I advertise my barbecue sauce on it. Sponsors would come to some people higher level than I'm at, you know. They're just not as prevalent in this type of sport as they are in drag racing. You know, for instance, these spark plugs in this thing last years, you know, so having a spark plug sponsor really isn't a big thing.
Right.
Oil changes, you know, every 25 hours, you know, it'd be great to have an oil sponsor. And Shell does sponsor some people. Maybe I'll look toward that. But no, that really it stands on its own here with just me and the barbecue sauce.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
What was your favorite day, if you have one, in your I call it competition, but exhibition, however you'd like to call it. I guess it is a bit of a competition in the aerobatics. What was your favorite timeout?
So I had a Satabria, and that's what I trained with my coach here at the airport, and we the prize at these competitions is a medal, kind of like the NHRA medal, but they also had belt buckles. And
Yeah.
I always wanted
Texas, after all, right?
I always wanted one of these belt buckles in high school, you know, like the bull rider would win. Or they were giving them away at Funny Car Chaos not too long ago. Anyway, I scored one of these belt buckles at one of the competitions, and that's upstairs in my office. And so I'd say that's the highlight of my aerobatic career so far. And you know, I told myself I'm going to get a belt and wear the thing, but you know, it's really not my style. You know, I'm more, you know, shorts and some Hey Dude shoes, you know, but yeah, it's
the dude abides.
Great trophy.
I love it. Well, let's check with John real quick to see if anybody had any final thoughts on the chat line. John, any final words?
Everybody's still here, but nobody had any questions. Except I was going to ask you something, John, and I can't remember what.
Whoops, we lost a little bit of internet there. Must be.
Oh, I was muted, wasn't I?
There we go. No, you were on. It was just a glitch in the matrix. Go ahead, say that again, John.
Next barbecue sauce I'm getting is going to be the best of Texas.
That'll be your last barbecue sauce you'll ever be.
Got that right, man.
Place an order.
It's good stuff. So yeah, we have plenty of it here in stock. Our last batch, just for your information, our last batch was 2 batches of 400 gallons. So
wow,
that's about 5 pallets of sauce. So yeah, I need to sell some.
Got it. Well, we'll help you do it. Best to Texas, everybody.
I
And
put barbecue sauce on my scrambled eggs, man. I love it on everything.
It, we have people that put it on potato chips, and I think
yeah,
probably just spoon it out of there and eat it raw. You know, if you
there
had
you go. I had some on some roast beef tonight. I'll have to but that was old Rufus Teague. We'll have to try John's though, best of Texas.
I'll
Well,
make
John,
sure.
you are indeed the best of Texas yourself, sir. Thanks so much for coming on. It's a blast talking with you.
My pleasure, man. I had a lot of fun too, and showing you guys my hangar here, what we do, and thanks for having me on.
Really appreciate it. And yeah, you took us to a different place. I love it. And I
Yes,
know
sir.
way more about those planes now that I did, 45 minutes ago. And that's what life's all about, learning that
Well,
stuff.
if you ever get down here in Texas, come by and we'll put you in one of them and take you for a ride.
Awesome.
All
I'll
right,
hold you
man.
to it. All right. Thank you so much, John. Ladies and gentlemen, John Hale, one bad Texan, and best of Texas barbecue. Thank you, sir. Have a wonderful night. Well, and a great holiday season. Merry Christmas, and we'll see you sometime down the road.
See ya.
All right. Bye, everybody. All right. That was John Hale, everyone. Let's say farewell and turn it over to JB for this week's JB's Take. And do we have Racer of the Week? That's right, we do. Take it away, John.
Thanks, VP. My pick for Racer of the Week is a tribute to the great Delbert Crivello from Hilo, Hawaii. Del was recommended to me by our friend in Hilo, Mike Baba Balberino. Thanks, Mike. Delbert passed away on Sunday, September the 3rd, 2023, at home. He was born on March 14th, 1965, in Hilo. He was the owner and operator of DC's towing service since 1991. He was also a member of the Kukane Motorcycle Club and the Big Island VW Club, the Hilo chapter. He was truly one of a kind. Everybody who knew him loved him. His daughter sent this to me today. She said he was the absolute best, the protector, the lifesaver, all around go-to guy that so many of us could always count on and really just made life easier for us. It didn't matter if you were family, a friend, or a stranger, he would help you whether it was to do with building or fixing anything with wheels, structures, troubleshooting, cooking, or just life. He'd be there. If he didn't know something, he would know who to call and where to find out. He had connections. He was a straight shooter, no beating around the bush, so you knew exactly what he was thinking because he'd tell you. But he was always helping anybody and everybody. It didn't matter who you were or what he was doing, especially if he saw you having some kind of car trouble. He would drop whatever he was doing and check it out and see how he could help. Even if it was just a tow, he would get his tow truck and give them a tow to wherever they needed to go. When it came to racing, he was absolutely loved it and entertaining and getting the crowd pumped up more than actually racing, which is why he would burn out and throw wheelies at the track. He even ended up spraying a happy face under his bug so that he would throw a wheelie, those watching would see it. He would catch his thrills looking up at the sky after getting the green light, knowing that those watching are looking at the happy face under the bug. He definitely made our world a much more colorful place, with all his pranks, his jokes, his stories, and his presence. There is only one Delbert Crivello, and I am so blessed to have had him as my father. Love you always, my Superman. That was from his daughter today. To the Crivellos in Hilo and all of their friends and family, Draglist wishes you all peace, love, and fulfillment in life. Delbert's memory and legacy will live with all of us together forever. He set an example for all of us to follow. Now I'm going to try to say this right. Ihei mi ka maluahia ika hoahananu. Race in peace, my friend. I've been keeping up with the NFL every week. The Texans are playing the Cowboys in Dallas tonight. It should be interesting. Both teams are having issues, and I won't go into an analysis of their problems, but I was reminded of a moment in my upbringing that I never forgot that I thought I'd share with y'all tonight that involves this meeting between these two struggling teams. I grew up with a family in Houston, as well as my birth family in Galveston. My dad and his friend Bill met each other when they were in line to join the Marines the day after they graduated from high school as World War II was raging. They went through boot camp and deployment to the South Pacific together. They stayed in touch after the war, and our families sent their sons to stay with them for a month or so every summer. So I learned about Houston. In the late 60s, I was talking to Bill about the football season. Well, it turned out that Bill was a star quarterback on his high school football team in South Texas in the early 1940s before he graduated. He told me that in one game he was playing against a team he'd never played against before. He said every time he dropped back to pass, the tall, lanky defensive end from the opposing team broke through his offensive line and didn't just tackle him. He hit him like a Mack truck and punished him brutally every time. Towards the end of the game, the kid hit him and laid him out for the umpteenth time, and as Bill pulled himself together and rose back to his feet, he asked that kid, "Boy, what's your name?" The kid turned around and said, "Tom Landry." Everybody stay safe and well. You are the most important part of this show, and we love you all. We look forward to having you all with us every week. It's a great way for us to spend an hour together on a Monday night. I'll see you all next time. God bless America. Back to you, BP.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Hey, I thought the punchline was going to be Ed Too Tall Jones, but I guess the arrow was wrong. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Let me go ahead on and do some of our stuff here. We'll jump into our segments. First thing I would remind us all that let me just talk a little bit about Nitro Revival. So despite catching a little bit of a cold out there, it was fantastic. It was just amazing. Got to see Steve Gibbs, Cindy Gibbs, who Steve lost his home to those wildfires. He and his fiance lost their home days before Nitro Revival. In between the time we talked to Cindy on Monday night and Nitro Revival, which started that Friday, I believe it was Wednesday that he lost his home. And lots of the firefighters who were there were able to roll their cars out of the way. So their cars were salvaged, but their home was lost. So despite that, Steve did come to the event with his lovely fiance on Saturday, and everybody had, of course, nothing but love for him. Had a chance to say hello and spend a couple moments with my old friend, who's a friend to all of us in drag racing. Cindy did an amazing job running that event on pure adrenaline and pure will. Her and her beautiful sister, our friend Mendy Fry, everybody kind of pitching in to get this thing done. And I saw hundreds upon hundreds of just wonderful people out there, many, many top racers from all eras. I took a ton of pictures, put them up on the Draglist Facebook page, but because I got a little bit sick and then I got jumped right into a pretty intense work week, I have not had a chance to caption them with who those interesting folks were. So I'll be doing that. I'm gonna start tonight, and I think I can get it knocked out. But anyway, Nitro Revival 7 was amazing. It was the last one at Irwindale. They're going to be closing that Irwindale racetrack. Unfortunately, it's a beautiful facility. But Steve and Cindy tell us they will have the event somewhere next year. So we'll just keep our eyes open for that. But if you get a moment, drop Steve Gibbs a note, drop Cindy a note. And they just did an amazing job. And of course, there were 70 cackle cars in the place. Of course, my friend Bruce Larson was there with his Camaro. He was a big star. Don Roberts, our friend from the Northeast, was there. He was regarded as a star. It was really great to see these terrific drag racers get their due and get their, get the kudos of all these fans. The line for the autograph session was ridiculous. I never was so glad to have a press pass in my life, and I was able to get in there and say hello and take photos of everybody. Anyway, Nitro Revival 7 is great. Nitro Revival 8 is going to be amazing. So start making your plans. I intend to go back out wherever it is. Speaking of back to the East Coast, though, we do have the Eastern Museum of Motor Racing, their drag racing reunion coming up on December 5th. So we hope you can join us up there. A lot of folks are going to be up having a good time right here in just north of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Let's upcoming guests. One of the other things I didn't get a chance to do, Miss Kay was so kind to get us our terrific guest, John Hale, tonight. I gave her a list of names that I'm interested in. Pardon me. And I talked to tons of racers out on the West Coast who said they would love to join us. Pardon me. And but we don't have those locked in yet. Also, this is going to be, obviously December, going to be a big month for holidays and folks here in and out. So we're going to be looking at that really close this week and putting some dates on the calendar. With that, let's go on to those we lost. Some huge names this week, but just a few. On the 11th of November, Wally Booth passed away. Obviously, one of the top pro stock racers in drag racing history. First racing those big Rat Pack Chevy Camaros, then the Rat Pack Vega, and then the American Motors cars, the Gremlin X, the Hornet X, turning the American Motors mark into NHRA national event winning cars, and really one of the guys who really started working on the heads and really started flowing the heads better and making those work great. Just an awesome guy. I have had the honor of meeting Wally a couple of times. In fact, at the Eastern Museum of Motor Racing a few years ago. And we've had him on the show, by golly. We'll have to go back and dig that one out. But farewell to Wally Booth. Really a big part of our pro stock memories if we grew up in the 70s. On the 14th, I want to say farewell to Erwin Owen Johns. He was 80 years old, out of Louisville, Kentucky. He raced all the way from Z11 Chevys way back in the day, all the way up through a modern Chevy Cavalier super stock car. So farewell to Mr. Johns, Erwin Johns, who made it all the way to 80 years old. Bless your heart, sir. And then finally, just heard this from Larry Dixon Jr., who I was really happy to spend a couple minutes with chatting out in Irwindale. Larry shared that just today he got a call from Larry Minor to let him know that his longtime crewman Terry Caldwell had passed away over the weekend. So most of the guys on the tour for a while would recognize Terry, says Larry. He was his dad, Larry Sr.'s longtime friend and crew help forever, and then followed Larry Sr. followed him over to the Larry Minor team. When, if you all recall, Larry Dixon Sr. used to drive for Larry Minor when he first came out in Top Fuel. So he was there. Terry Caldwell was there when Beck and Minor won the 1983 championship, and he was also Larry Dixon Jr.'s godfather. So farewell to Terry Caldwell. Obviously a very important person in Larry Jr.'s life, and Gary Beck and Larry Minor. And, we love these folks that are just tie this community together, that not everybody gets their name in the mags, but everybody's out there making it happen. So farewell to these great racers. Our condolences to their families and many friends. John, with that, we're close to a wrap, sir. Any final thoughts from you on the show?
It was just great having John Hale on the show, because I learned about him from Rob Elsom a couple of weeks ago from communicating with him in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't mention anything about the airplanes. Those are gorgeous airplanes, man. And I mean, John's got it going on. He's really living life to the fullest. And I'm glad he was with us tonight.
He was great. One thing I forgot to mention to him again. Now, we talked about it in 21 when he was on, but we were on the river cruise out in Cordova at one of our Draglist nationals. And we decided to take a river cruise and just have a nice lunch out there with the Draglist super crew. And who else was on there but John Hale and his Nostalgia Funny Car team? So, of course, the two groups of drag racing folks got together, and we met John there and the rest of his team and had a really nice chat, sort of over lunch and going up and down the mighty Mississippi there, having a really great time. So anyway, John Hale was awesome. Let's go ahead and do our wrap. We want to thank John. He was so much fun to talk with. I do want to go back and look at our old show from 2021 and see what we talked about. I know we did it from inside his hangar, but I don't think we got the rundown on all the planes like we did tonight. Of course, John Balkin and my brother taking such great care of us. Thank you, sir. By the way, just doing some great art. If you saw the new promo today that John put up for the show, really excited about that. Awesome artwork as always. Kay Turkelson, our lovely producer. I was not able to see Kay. She had so much going on. I wasn't able to make it out to Irwindale. Well, we'll get together one of these days, my dear. And of course, Rob McCabe, thank you to him for doing the great updates to the Draglist. He's been working hard on those new door slammer classes, that Factory X and all that stuff. And of course, Mel Bashore also taking care of us with the 1950s era entries. And of course, thanks forever to Danny White, the man. Thanks to Jeff Gilder of Zeus Digital Marketing, Racers Reunion, and Wingding Media. And folks, once again, I'll remind you and ask you to click the like and share. Let your friends know that the show's out there and that we exist here on the YouTube channel. And please click subscribe to this Draglist channel, if you will. And finally, check out on draglist.com every day to see what's new. Lots of good stuff up there. It took me a bit. I have to admit that this last week, I kind of did all my updates in one day over the weekend because having traveled last weekend and not feeling great and doing a bunch of stuff at work, we got it all in there. And so we're up to date. So check out draglist.com for some cool stuff. And then finally, I anticipate seeing you next Monday night. I don't know who the guest is going to be, but we'll figure something out for you between all of us, and we'll communicate it in plenty of time before the show happens. So, folks, have an awesome week. John, you do the same, my friend. And
you too, BP. I'm on call 24/7, 365. Just let me know.
I love it. All right, my friend. See you, everybody.